fun to be able to finish. I do like the book more reading it a second time now that I'm older. The first time I was like 11 when I read it and I hated it. And I do appreciate the class consciousness in this. It does have a very colonized perspective, of course, where Heathcliff is immediately ostracized and abused because of his race. They are not sure what his background is, so they get to impose all of these sort of stereotypes on him in history, and it doesn't seem like he has access to his own history as well. So there is this loneliness and sadness and anger that develops in him, and this desire for revenge. And Catherine, even though he loved her, she wasn't really that nice to him, like, to be honest, and said that marrying him would degrade her, which, like, in terms of class, it would. But he really was dealt a bad hand. And it is interesting to see how, like, these different forces of oppression in society bring Heathcliff and Catherine together to be able to relate to one another, but it also is what is keeping them apart. This class and racial structure that is saying that some people are allowed to own things and have things and be members of society and other people aren't. We have to talk about, oh, hi. We have to talk about how Heathcliff is portrayed as a villain, a kind of monster to be afraid of, that the description of his skin color and features, that they are used to inspire fear a lot of the time in these portrayals. And that everything seems to be like out of sorts while he owns both of those properties, and then things are at peace once he is gone. So like that has to be noticed, that like the person of color who was actually able to own land and use the society and how it functioned at the time to his advantage, that it was viewed as being like diabolical and evil. But when it came to the other people, the white people who were using this system for their own means and self-enrichment, bettering their stations, that it wasn't viewed as a negative thing. It also is interesting to look at Heathcliff as a lower class person, working class person. This is how he started out, and how the working class people are the ones he seems to get along the most with, except for Nellie. And Nellie seems to be a class traitor, though, because she looks out for the well-being of her employers more than like her own well-being a lot of the time. So we have to call into question whether Nellie is a reliable narrator or not. Mr. Lockwood doesn't seem to be a reliable narrator. But the fact that Emily Bronte was willing to engage in this kind of discourse of acknowledging human cruelty, these systems of oppression, she did perpetuate a lot of harmful stereotypes for people with melanin in their skin, racializing someone and having him be like the worst kind of villain, that like his coloring is a source of fear in many of these descriptions. That is harmful, but it does actually acknowledge a person of color in this time of the British Empire, and that people were treated poorly because of this difference that they're pointing out in society and marginalizing people for. So it is this interesting contrast between like colonizing forces and this status quo of classism, where we have the people who are most Christian seem to be the ones that seem to get in their way a lot of the time. But that is what Nellie keeps imposing on other people, and this is like a constant source of um, stress and annoyance to Catherine and Heathcliff all throughout growing up. And that, like, this rejection of Christianity seems to have, like, kind of brought about their doom. But there is also this element of, like, spirits and mysticism and magic existing. So it's a blend of having more pagan, indigenous beliefs be shown, but also having the prioritization of Christianity as, like, the main source of morality can't be ignored as well. Okay, that was a lot of me just, like, rambling and saying my opinion, but that's Wuthering Heights. I'm curious to hear what you all think.